Let's have a little business meeting, guys. That was a story I want to tell you about because there's been conversation going on about this on my Facebook profile for the past month, and I told the guys there I would talk about this, so I want to share it with you guys as well. What happened was about a month ago, Dana and I went into the bank, to a bank here in Cincinnati area to try to open up bank accounts. And since we've been debt-free for several years now, if you missed that video, I put the link to it below. You can check it out. For about almost 4 years now. And because of that, since we don't have debt, we don't do credit cards, we don't borrow money, we don't have loans, student loans or car loans or anything. And so our credit score will naturally begin to drop. The question is, we didn't know how far, how much it dropped. So what happened was we went into this bank to open up our accounts, and long story short, they denied us. And the lady there didn't know why exactly, so she said that we would get a letter in the mail, and we did. And the bank said that, hey, your score was too low. We can't issue you a bank account because from what it seemed like at the time, it was because our credit score is too low. And I was like, I posted on Facebook saying, I don't know if I should be like proud or if I should be annoyed that I can't open up a bank account because I have such good use of money that I don't even owe anybody any money. Well, there's a bunch of comments made saying, hey, why don't you just go get a credit card and just pay it off every month and just kind of keep establishing credit that way? And I said on Facebook that I think that is a poor idea, and for several reasons, and that's what these people wanted to hear. So I'm sharing it with you guys. I'm going to post this video on Facebook for them. Just to finish the story, and then I'll tell you why I think getting a credit card just to pay it off every month is probably not the best idea. They actually came back to us just a couple days ago, the bank did, and said, hey, we're sorry for all the trouble. We didn't know what was going on. Our system is reporting you guys incorrectly, so we'd be happy to issue you guys bank accounts. And I said, yes, thank you, because my credit score is still very high, and Dana's is very good as well. So so that whole thing has been resolved as just a computer issue or a glitch on their side. But this whole conversation about, is it a good idea to have a credit card just so you can pay it off every month and establish good credit for yourself? And I think that that is probably not the best idea. And I'm talking for me personally. All right, so some of you guys have different philosophies and approaches to life, and that's totally fine. I'm just talking for myself. Is that one, your credit score is basically, as Dave Ramsey says, your I love debt score. And basically all it is it just measures how well you interact with debt. And if you don't have any debt, eventually your I love debt score goes down because you don't love debt. And Dana and I haven't. So you can get a credit card or get a loan just for the sake of paying it off, and you can kind of keep that score up. I don't think that's really necessary because there's nothing a debit card can't do that a credit card can do, and we've been doing that we haven't had a credit card for like 4 years now or so, and haven't run into any situations yet where we needed to have a credit card. Even when we go to get a mortgage, instead of getting someone who just punches in our social security numbers into a computer, the computer tells the person whether or not they'll give us a loan or not for our home, which is a different type of debt that we're okay with, but that's a whole nother issue. We can still go to some place that'll do manual underwriting, and basically what that means is they'll just look up our history and say, we see that you guys are very financially responsible, and so yes, we will do it despite whatever the computer automatically tells us what to do. So about credit cards, here's the thing. People spend more money with credit cards than they do if they're just spending cash or with a debit card. And the reason for this, and there's a lot of psychology that goes into everything behind credit cards, but what happens is all these studies have been done that when you pay with a credit card, your brain does not register pain at all. Whereas if you got to fork over cash or pay with a debit card, your brain goes, this is going to hurt a little bit. So what happens is people who spend with credit cards typically spend 30% more than people who pay with cash or with a debit card. For example, let's say you're hungry, you want a little snack, you're gonna go to the vending machine to kind of just get some chips or whatever, and you go to the vending machine. If you're gonna pay with cash, you most likely will only get the chips and you'll leave. However, if you go to the vending machine and you swipe instead, you're not only going to get the chips, but you're probably going to be like, I'll get a drink too. And you get the drink and you walk away. And you do that because your brain doesn't register pain when you use a credit card. It's really easy to spend money, an excuse a lot of us make, and I definitely did this. I had 3 credit cards and I carried a balance on all of them before, so I know this is true for me before I paid them off, is that you feel like, all right, if I'm going to spend money, it might as well because it's worth it because I'll be earning, like, for example, miles towards frequent flyer miles. And although you feel like you're contributing to buying, a free air flight to wherever you want to go, what happens is you will spend thousands of dollars more than you normally would have in order to work towards those free miles, and because the credit card doesn't register pain in your brain. And when you spend enough to get those free miles, you might as well have just bought the airfare yourself for like $400 instead of spending thousands of dollars over several months to get the same thing. And even so, the statistics show that very, very few people ever actually cash out on the miles or the rewards that they're getting from their credit card anyway. So among other reasons, Dana and I have chosen not to have credit cards because, one, we've proven to ourselves that they get us in trouble. Me and Dana, we just carry balances and it's just no good. And so we don't even want it around. And then 2, because we would end up, if we're like most normal people, spending more money if we had them than we would if we were just spending cash or using debit cards like we do now. Now, do I think it's wrong if other people have credit cards? I don't think it's a problem at all if other people do that. If they pay them off every month. Those people have obviously proven that they're financially responsible, and having a credit card is not going to ruin their lives or make them go bankrupt or anything like that. The issue for me is more a matter of principle, I guess, than anything else. So I think it's just kind of more of values and things that I have. And maybe if I go to a bank and they think I have a poor credit score, which I don't, I actually have a very good one, but sometimes computers make mistakes, and since a lot of people now, they make businesses that are offering financial services they don't want to get to know you. They just punch in your numbers, and whatever the computer spits back to them is how they make the decisions. But if you can find a bank like we did, it's the Bank of Kentucky, or if you're doing a mortgage like we will be eventually here, you go to a place that says, hey, we'll actually look at a couple papers of yours instead of just typing in some stuff in the computer, then there's really no benefit that I can see that you would really, really, really need a credit card rather than just having a debit card. We could talk about this a lot longer because there's a lot of psychology around this whole issue of spending money with credit versus with cash, and a lot of implications of all that, but that's probably goes into more detail. If you'd like to talk about it in more detail, comment below and let me know. I'd be happy to talk about it more, but that's just kind of like a brief overview. I'd love to hear from you. Comment below about what do you think about credit cards, especially those of you kids who are in college. I would definitely recommend that you don't get one because in college it's the easiest to just start spending, especially if you're not living on a written budget. A lot of this discussion is also based on life experiences and choices you made in the past and your upbringing from your parents and what you saw modeled for you. And I would even say if you've been to a third world country for any amount of time before or not and have come back to the U.S., that'll really mess with you as well concerning your finances and your lifestyle. And so there's much more that goes into this, I realize, than just philosophical, financial, businessy type of talk stuff. And I understand, I realize that. So hopefully you guys do too. Just keep it friendly in the comments as you share what you think about credit cards and all this kind of stuff, and we'll just be gracious to each other. And thanks for hanging out, guys. Appreciate your time. Bye. Thanks for joining us, guys. If this is your first time, we'd love to have you subscribe so we can continue to share our lives with you, or click the video on your screen to find out more about who we are.